impactful episode. We're about to go through and highlight a melanated married couple, or just go through some lessons that we got. Make sure y'all tap in with the conversation. Queen, where can they go to tap in?
TheeM4Show.com.
Yes, ma'am. And make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. Queen, where can they follow us on Instagram?
TheeM4Show.
Now, if y'all haven't liked and subscribed, it would make the Queen very, very happy. If you can go ahead. Very? What should they do?
You should go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
It's free, and your first step to becoming a millionaire. Go ahead and click that button. And let's get into the show.
Let's do it.
What is going on, beautiful people? We are live in Tulsa. Thank y'all for tapping into another episode of the Married Melanated Millionaires in the Making M4 Show. My name is Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. Of course, I have my melanated, my beautiful, my smiling, my driving extraordinaire queen herself. Please introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? My name is Sinclair, a.k.a. the Health Nerd.
Yeah.
And I am tired. I'm not going to lie to you.
Why are you tired, Queen?
I am tired because we have had very jam-packed days here in Tulsa. And for some reason, I have not been sleeping well at all. So I'm going on like 2 days of terrible sleep and long days and different time zone. And my body's just fighting it, y'all. But we are here. I'm gonna give you all the energy I got.
All of it.
And then I'm going to absolutely crash after
this.
this.
Just knock out. But yeah, we've had a good time in Tulsa. This is our second year coming back, and we'll get into kind of like the history of Black Wall Street, history of Greenwood, Tulsa, aka Little Africa. But the theme that has been really on our mind for the whole weekend is generational wealth, legacy, Black excellence, resilience. So these are all things that we'll kind of talk very briefly about. We did a incredible live episode with the Wallace family, right? Which we'll be able to show y'all some sneak peeks later on and stuff. But we've done amazing live in person in their home not in Tulsa, in Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, right? It was just dope vibes. Shout out to their family. But we just want to give you all some highlights of the trip, why y'all should consider coming and visiting, and then just our inspiration, our major takeaways from visiting Greenwood this year. Queen, does that sound about good to you?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, without further ado, royalty, let's get into the episode. Over 50% of Black Americans are unmarried, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Truvel, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, a.k.a. the Health Nerd.
And welcome to the M4 Show. And the Queen's been on me about my hair all weekend. She's all about, look at your hair, get your hair. So the thing is, I'm getting used to my locks, right? And having them down, it's just in my face, all on my forehead. It's not comfortable. So
I feel you.
Whenever possible, I like to have it up, out of my face, off my neck, and it feels better.
I feel you. I think the consideration is, one, you don't like to bun it up, which, I don't know what your issue with the bun is.
I don't like the tucked bun look. Like the ball on top of my head looks feminine to me. The hair out, that looks fine. But
you
when
look
you
like alfalfa. To me, it looks funny. Like it's better to look slightly feminine because you're comfortable in your masculinity. Better to just rock the bun than to be looking crazy out here. But
I'd rather look crazy than have a ball on top of my head. It doesn't look good for me.
Amen.
For me,
I just feel it's my duty to let you know you look crazy. After that, you can decide what you want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am. I'm all good with the craziness. But wanted to give y'all a little bit of a backstory of Tulsa's Black Wall Street in case you haven't picked up Black Wall Street, the board game, in case you haven't
Shame on you.
Right. First off, if you listen to the podcast, I assume you a real one. You've already tapped into the board game, so you know a little bit. But just in case someone shared this with you or you stumbled upon our video, right? Tulsa's Black Wall Street was a Black-owned community in northern Tulsa. This is a community that really started building around 1898 to 1921, the first wave, community of indigenous and Africans building that community together. We have Madam T.J. Walker Beauty Salon. We have Uncle Steve's Barbecue,
Theater,
owned by come on.
What was the? I know it's Laula. What was the?
John
and Laula.
John and Laula Williams. We have the Oklahoma Sun, the Tulsa Star, media companies, right? A whole bunch of attorneys and lawyers out here in Tulsa. Basically, a 40-acre, 40-square mileage community that was Black owned and Black operated. Unfortunately, in 1921, we've heard a bunch of different stories. Definitely do your own research. But unfortunately, in 1921, there was a race massacre, a bombing and a burning of what used to be Greenwood. A lot of the history that we learned here is just because it got burned down, the people didn't even let that stop them.
Right.
I know the Queen's going to talk about resilience in a second, but the people actually rebuilt Tulsa again just 1 year later. Literally 1 year after the massacre, they were able to build up Black Wall Street almost bigger than what it was before, from 1920 to 1940, 45. And then a wave of urban renewal came. They started building freeways. They started taking away land or purchasing land away from people. And then that's when the demise of Black Wall Street really came to a halt, unfortunately. But highly encourage anyone who loves Black history, who loves what Black wealth represents and what it looks like, come visit Greenwood.
Yeah.
All right. The vibe is dope. The history is dope. We'll talk about the Greenwood Rising Museum, but it's a beautiful experience. It is a little emotional, especially when you go through the museum. So it will be an emotional experience for you. But I think it's something that our children should grow up knowing and experiencing.
And I think, like, even though it's visiting is, it's a whole wave of emotions. There's positive and not so positive ones. I feel like it's somewhat disheartening to see what it is today compared to, not that it's also amazing today just to see Black businesses all on one block, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be.
Right.
And so it's a little saddening to see that. But what I think is cool is that every time we come back, we do see that the spirit of Black Wall Street is very much still alive, right? The 2 times we've come,
all 2 times, two times
we've come, we've been walking down the street and just met somebody cool who just, it's always an interesting experience. You know, the first time we had board games, so a lot of people were walking like, oh, what's that? And that would be like a conversation starter. This past time, I don't know what the guy saw that made him stop.
Saw Jair with his camera.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, what's going on here? We were like, oh, we're just coming through. We're visiting, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. He was like, oh, okay, well, let me spit something for you.
He didn't even say it like that. There was no lead in. He just spoke. He just started speaking. He was like, oh yeah, well, and just did a full poem. Like it was amazing. There was no lead in or nothing. It was pretty cool. But he had a whole,
shout out to Vic.
Yes, a whole rhyme, a whole poem. I don't know what it was, spoken word. I don't know what it would be considered, but it was really dope. You could tell that he has also done his research. But yeah, it's just cool. Like, people are very friendly. They'll stop you, right? They'll say what's up. Everybody's really friendly. You got the unofficial mayor of Greenwood, Terry. Everybody will stop and say, hello to him. So the vibe is very much still here, 100%. Which is really cool.
And I do want you to talk about resilience in a second, but we went inside the Greenwood Rising Black Wall Street Historical Center. It's a long title, all right? But the Greenwood Center, basically, right? And it's one of the beautiful state-of-the-art museums right at the entrance, right as you come into Greenwood, right on Archer in Greenwood. It sits right there. And last year when we came, it wasn't officially open.
Right.
All right. We got to sit in the dedication. We got the gospel singers were there. The pastor said the word. Phil Armstrong was able to say some words and actually open it up. But we, as non-local Tulsans, weren't allowed to actually go in that day. So when we came back the second time, we definitely wanted to make sure we got inside of that museum.
Yep.
And when you go in there, the exhibit is state of the art.
So well done. It's you can tell that they put their time and very intentional about the experience, right? And it's not like an artifactual type museum. It's like a story, right? It's a narrative where you're going through and you're seeing what created the community, right? What the community was like, how it was built, the people that were involved.
Talk about the barbershop.
Oh yeah, the it was supposed to be
TC.
Oh yeah, how could I forget? Shout out to TC. TC's barbershop. They have like a reenactment of you, if you will, of it. And so you get to sit in the barbershop chair. There's 3 chairs, and there's a hologram. And as you look forward, you can actually see people cutting your hair. There's three guys there that are cutting their hair. I think what's cool about it is they're having conversation with each other and with the persons in the people in the chair, right? About racism, about Black wealth, about all of the things that they were talking about back then. But I think part of the point of the exhibit is to show that we're still talking about a lot of the same things today. So yeah, that was a really great exhibit to see like, oh wow, this is a conversation that can be happening literally today, right? Take out some of the vernacular, but it's literally the same conversation that can happen today. And we were talking about one of the cool things I think about that exhibit too is what the barbershop signifies, I think, in the Black community, which is that safe space, that space to talk, that space to, that really communal space that it has represented in the community.
100%. So if you come to Tulsa, one of the many things that you definitely need to check out is the Greenwood Rising Historical Center. I love how it's sectioned off into like periods of Black Wall Street. So when you first start off, there's an amazing video that you'll watch to kind of center you, and then it'll go into the people and the entrepreneurs and the Trail of Tears, right, on how people even got to Greenwood, got to Tulsa, got to Oklahoma in the first place. And then the next one, it highlights the barbershop. The next section will talk about oppression. It'll talk about just the battles and barriers that our folks had to overcome during that time. Then there is a very emotional section about the actual massacre and the bombing, told from a narrative point of view from the survivors. And then they start talking about the rebuilding of it and the resurgence of Black businesses and businesses in Greenwood again. So it's just a great section and full story. So highly encourage you to visit. Something that I want to, not a big flex, but I do have to mention that we had the wonderful honor of being able to donate some funds and donate games to the Greenwood Rising Historical Center back in 2020, right? 2020, 2019, they were doing their fundraising campaign. We didn't have tons of money at the time per se, but I thought we had enough to be able to be a part of this legacy and put some money towards the Greenwood Rising Historical Center. So it was beautiful to be able to visit, and we know that we were part of, the building of it. We know that we donate games, but it was great to actually go there and see our name, Play Black Wall Street, on the wall with the other donors. That was really dope.
Yeah, that was. And it took us a while to find it, but once we did, it was like, it was really exciting.
We made the wall.
Right, really exciting.
So yeah, very, very cute, dope. But Queen, I know one of your biggest takeaways from the trip, but also the museum, is resilience.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what does resilience mean to you, like as far as pulling it from, this experience? What does it mean, and how do you want to embed resilience into our children, into our family?
To me, resilience means like committing to putting in the work. And we kind of talked about this definition where we're talking about greatness maybe 2 episodes ago, but it's regardless of the outcome, right? So when things don't go your way, when things outside of your control happen, that maybe set you back, right? Set you back a couple steps, or force you to completely start over, right? Like a lot of the folks had to do with their businesses. The fact that they rebuilt meant that it's like, okay, cool, you destroyed my building, but I'm still here, right? Yeah. And my commitment to having a business, a Black-owned business, and passing down this wealth is still here. So I'm going to rebuild this business to whatever it takes. Yeah. So I think that I definitely learned something from that. There was a specific part in the exhibit And it was talking about some letters that I was reading to between two friends, one of them from Tulsa, from Greenwood, the other one from another part of the state. And they were basically like, oh, we heard about what happened down there. We've got a spot for you. We'll be waiting for you, and you come on up. Of course, this is 1920, so they're letters.
2 weeks later.
Right. And then the other person basically writes back like, thank you for your concern. Yes, this happened, but we're still here, and they didn't break my spirit. I'm still here, and I plan to stay here. And I think that was really like, whoa, because it was like there was part of me that was thinking like, would I stay here? I don't know. I truthfully don't know.
Right.
Especially like depends on I think if we have a family, like if you have kids and you worry about their safety, like I might have been out there too.
Right.
But it was really cool to see the resilience of people who were like, this is home, this is our space, and just because they came and did some terrible things, they're not going to run us out of our own town.
Right.
And that was really, really cool to see, because it's like they dealt with some very outrageously outright racism that we still have to deal with a lot, but it's typically not that outright level. Right. And so it just is like, if they can do that, if they can rebuild their businesses after something like that, then whatever happens to us, we can always rebuild, we can always keep going, and just to keep focused on the mission. So yeah, that's something that I want to instill in our kids from playing the game. Right. I think part of, hopefully you're a day one and what can happen in the game, but
history,
right, you get a chance to test your resilience while playing the game. So that's something that I hope that we do, through playing the game, but also just through life. Like when things get hard with our children, right, rather than being like, okay, well, it's okay, you can quit, right? It's like, no, let's go, keep going. And so that's something that I definitely plan to keep instilling in our children, is that resilience of no matter what happens, things outside of your control, whatever it is, stick to what you said you were going to do, stick to that goal, stick to that.
Or a better goal.
Or
right?
A better goal.
Don't downgrade on your dream, right? If you want to switch it up, be like, oh, instead of going for 1 million, I want to go for 10 million. Instead of going for a single family home, I want to go for a quadplex. That's cool. You can change that, but do not downgrade your dream because it's getting hard. Right. So I encourage people who are listening, like, really think about what is that dream that you don't want to give up on. What is that mission, that goal, that dream that you've maybe told at least one other person, that you share with one other person, that you've gotten from your grandma, from your parent, that you want to fulfill, that you will be resilient towards and never give up on. When we started Black Wall Street, the board game, we flopped. We flopped with our Kickstarter, right? Y'all can go back and listen to the whole story. But we basically tried to raise like $25,000, only raised $4,000. If you don't raise the exact funds that you wanted, or at least the funds that you said you wanted to get, you get $0. Right? So we could have easily been like, all right, well,
guess it's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. We tried. Oh, well. And then go back to our 9 to 5, go about our business. And we would have had a decent life, right? We had good jobs. So we would have been fine. But there's something in our spirit. There's something after we moped around for 2 weeks.
It wasn't immediate.
After I was sad for a few weeks, ate some food, watched some movies. But then there was something in our spirit that was like, no, this is too important to just give up on. Right. The people of Greenwood, the people of Black Wall Street didn't just give up when they were literally attacked.
Right.
When they were literally faced with violence, literally faced with racism and discrimination. They still fought. So how are you going to give up after a Kickstarter? After the internet
all
said
you did
no.
was click some buttons.
Right. So we put up our own money, and then now we're able to literally say that we've helped expose thousands of people to the history of Black Wall Street. And there's been children that we've talked to, families that we talked to, that have since started businesses and changed their whole mindset from just a book or a board game that we created, right? Inspired by real history and the resilience of our ancestors. So I say that to say, you don't know who your resilience will inspire.
Facts.
You battling yourself, or you battling your demons, or you fighting those external barriers can literally inspire someone else to do the exact same thing and change their entire life, change their entire trajectory.
It's almost like, if a way to think about it is like, it's almost selfish of you to quit on your dreams.
Fact. It's selfish for you not to be selfish. it's selfish for you not to be selfish and chase your dream.
Yeah.
You're thinking of yourself if you're not dreaming.
Right. Because you don't know who would have benefited from you completing that goal, putting that book out, starting that podcast, literally whatever it is, right? It could be real estate, right? There are families waiting for homes and you need to sell it to them.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you truthfully have no idea the effect that whatever you want to do is going to have on people if you never do it. So just think about all of the potential, right? I feel like sometimes we think about ourselves. We think about like, oh man, well, I'm not going to accomplish that, or maybe I won't make as much money, or maybe I won't this. And it's very I focused, right? Yeah. I think once you realize the potential of what your product or what your thing could do, and then reframe it like that. Okay, well, maybe that kid won't start that business and set their whole entire family up for life. Or maybe that child will never know about Black Wall Street and will question their identity and just all of these things that you can have an effect on, that if you don't act on it, you will never make that change in this world, even if it's a small change.
Right. So there's a lot of people around and they're talking loud. We're at the Hyatt Regency and there was this dope event, right? It was Tokyo, Oklahoma here. So literally, if y'all were here like yesterday, hundreds, possibly 1,000 people all dressed up in anime and different Tokyo and comic book characters. It was a whole vibe, right? For my California folks, if you're like ever gone to Comic-Con or seen Comic-Con, it was basically that in Oklahoma, right? So if you're hearing some things, seeing some things move around, the event literally just ended 2 days, so there's a little bit of energy still lingering around, right? But Queen,
yes,
maybe last thing before we go, we had the amazing opportunity of interviewing a family that's from Oklahoma. They have literally 3 generations of a name, right? We had Sam Wallace Sr., the original, Sam Wallace II, and then Sammy Wallace the third, little Trey. But also 3 generations of people who are invested inside of creating a book. Right? They had a 7-year-old. I'm not gonna give all the juice. Make sure y'all watch that episode. It's coming out next week. It's gonna be fire. That episode, y'all. I'm excited because it's our first live one.
Yep.
We had the stationary camera. We had Jair with the movable camera. He's gonna do his chop up edits, and it's gonna be something different. All right. So make sure y'all look out for that. But the biggest takeaway that I'm taking away from that one is you need to think long term.
Yeah.
Which I think we're pretty good at doing that already, but I think it's a different mindset when you think long term for your kids.
Right.
Right. So it's not about where do you want to be in 30 years? It's about how can you make sure that your kids, when they turn 18, they're free. It's a different type of lifestyle if your kid chooses to go to college or they choose to do X, Y, and Z, and they don't have to worry about tuition. They don't need to worry about getting their first job outside of college because they already have all their expenses paid for and they have millions of dollars in the bank. They have their properties, they have their books and portfolios, and they're just
walk through life different.
It's different, y'all. It's different. And that's the lifestyle that we want. That's the dream that we want to, I think, pass down to our kids. Can you talk about your takeaway or any inspiration that you got from the Wallace Kingdom?
I think it was just how intentional they were with everything that they are doing.
Yeah.
They're into real estate. They've got the books popping, and everything we asked them, they were just very intentional about, like, this is for the kids.
Yeah.
Right. Even the real estate, they were like, oh, it's cool that we get to cash flow. But really what we did this is so that in 15 years, in 20 years, this is paid off and we can give it to the kids.
Right.
So it was really cool just to see that the decisions that they're making today are very much inspired and very much, for the future of their children.
Yeah.
So I think that was what the biggest takeaway that I took away was is make sure, like, almost like reverse engineering, right? Think about the life you want your kids to have when they're an adult and reverse engineer that to what you need to be doing today. Because I think that's a good way to figure out it's never too early, basically,
No.
right? Even us right now, like we're very intentional. We don't have kids yet, so we have a long time until they're 18, 20, 21.
Fact.
But we're thinking about those types of things now because it's never too early to put those things in place.
Right.
And I think it does take a level of forethought, of really being strategic, thinking out and planning out and writing out your 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year plan, and putting those plays together and making sure that you are making the steps you need to make that a reality.
100%. So what I want y'all to do, if you're listening, if you're watching, make sure you share this podcast with at least one other family, one other couple that you want to see win. We are all about generational wealth. We're all about sharing knowledge. So if you can do us a favor and make sure you share this podcast, the Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making podcast, with another M4 couple in your life. And then Queen, my question for you in our Ask the Claire segment is, we talked about being selfish is about chasing your dreams and then being able to pass down wealth or property or intellectual property to your kids in the future. All right. So it's kind of about being able to jump, leap, chase your dream, but then that dream being able to allow your kids to then live their dream as well. So what is a dream that you plan to achieve for Kendry? A dream that you plan to achieve so that you can get some type of wealth, whether it's intellectual property, whether it's an actual property, because I know you in your real estate bag these days, that you then can pass down to Kendry, pass down to Sage, pass down to Delton, pass down to Dwight, for them to be able to live their best life, right?
Yeah.
You got, if you got it, I know I got mine.
I got
okay.
it.
Oh, hit it.
Yeah. So I think it would be, I mean, I have multiple things that came to mind, but one, like financially, would be a large commercial building. I know we're in the talks. How many units?
Talk to me. Let's go. Let's make this dream real.
It's honestly not even about the number of units. I want it to be enough to, one, cover our basic expenses, because if they can cover our basic expenses as a married couple, then they can definitely cover a couple of our children's or one child's basic expenses, so that they can, again, start to just have a different outlook on life. You now don't have to work to support yourself on a monthly basis. That's covered. So what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What legacy do you want to leave on this planet? I think you just being able, I think that's just a different question that, I think we always think about. There's a question. I actually got this from Sean Stevenson. But we all have a question that we are like subconsciously or consciously asking ourselves. And that's what our minds are seeking answers for at any given moment.
Interesting.
So it can be, who am I? It can be, why is this happening to me? For him, it was, why is this happening to me, and who can help me? That and switching that question to, how can I help myself, is what changed his life and made him who he is today. He made that a point in his last podcast. So I think that being able to provide enough to cover Kendry's basic expenses, she can start asking a different question in life. It's, who do I want to be? What legacy do I want to live? Rather than like, what job am I going to get to support myself? Right. I think it's just a different question that our kids will be able to go through life trying to answer. And that will lead to a different path.
Gotcha. So one commercial property per child, what you're saying?
Yes.
5 units or 10 units, 8 units. I know you didn't say, but I want, I like to make it concrete.
But I've been like, it varies. If it's a 5 unit that can cover the basic expenses, great. If it's and then the reason I say that is because a 5 unit in California is much different than a 5 unit in Chicago. So 5 to 10.
Tangible. I'm just trying to get us nice tangible dreams. For me, I want to be able to finish a particular series that's in my head. The Queen knows the series that I'm talking about. I think it's too early for me to. It's not too early, but it's in a critical place where if I say too much about it, people can take the idea. So I'm trying to be protective of my ideas. But I've been writing it, every day for at least 10 minutes. I'll just do a little writing, right? Even on the trip, I've been doing a little, gotta get my time in, right? When I finish this series, it's going to be a 6-book series. And then I want to transform those 6 books into movies. One, that's going to change our life because the vision of these movies is very high quality. I'm thinking, Harry Potter, Marvel, what's another? Lord of the Rings type of saga, right? So being able to own that intellectual property and pass that on to our kids, literally it can be one per book, right? Like Kendry, all the royalties from this book goes to you. Jerome, all the royalties from this book and movie goes to you, XYZ. I think it's going to be a game changer. Yep. And don't even let me talk about intellectual property for toys. Don't get me started on the toy licensing. All right. But long story short, I've been kind of slow to the writing, thinking that it needs to be perfect, thinking that I got all these other projects to do, but motivating myself to say, you're writing these books for the next generation has given me a little bit of a different energy to write every single day. So I'm looking forward to finishing those books and being able to gift those to my kids so that they don't have to worry about anything. Queen.
Yes.
Wrapping up this episode. Again, we are live from Greenwood, live in Tulsa. Highly recommend y'all to visit. We'll be giving tons of amazing content covering the next or last few days. We met with Hannah B. Johnson, an amazing author and historian. Met with, again, Terry Backus, the amazing tour guide and unofficial mayor of Greenwood. We're meeting with some other people tomorrow. So it's just been a lot of connecting, a lot of stories. So keep a lookout for some great content. That's going to be on the Play Black Wall Street YouTube channel. So if you're not already following that, make sure you tap into Play Black Wall Street. You can just go to our website, playblackwallstreet.com. Get yourself a board game and follow us on social media to see more of the highlights from Greenwood. And Queen, on your side, what's popping with Queen to Queen? How can people find you? How can people get in shape or get into that freakum dress? It's in the back of the closet. You gotta
eye roll. So we still have the free weight loss accountability group popping. So if you are trying to get in shape and you need some folks to help hold you accountable, right? That's one of the hardest parts of losing weight and keeping it off. So if you're looking for some more queens to help, share your goals and hold you accountable, go to queencoaching.com and sign up for the free weight loss accountability group. We host it on Telegram. We do check-ins weekly. So looking forward to having you.
There it is. Do you hear that? How is it that now that we're done, y'all want to be quiet? Y'all, we was dropping gems. We was talking about it. It was so loud. I was like, no. As soon as we get to the end, it's smooth sailing. Yep. Life is like that sometimes. Sometimes when you're putting in your best faith effort, you're going through the roughest times of your life.
And nobody's checking for you.
And no one's checking for you. It's up to you to keep getting through that rough patch so that you can get to that other side and get to that smooth sailing that's over there. All right. So keep on fighting, keep on doing your thing. I did want to give a shout out to our Riverside folks because we will be doing a hike. Is our first kind of in-person M4 situation at Mount Rubidoux on August 13th. So if you are in the Riverside area, you're watching this live, tap in. You can join the Black Riverside County Facebook group. It is not ours. It is an open community, but a lot of really fun stuff out there if you're in the IE. And we will be at Mount Rubidoux August 13th doing a live hike. So come tap in with us. Afterwards, we'll go to the farmer's market, go have some brunch. It's going to be a good time. So come on, tap in. All right.
Oh, yeah.
But we appreciate y'all. As usual, make sure y'all secure the marriage, secure the love, and secure the bag. Peace. Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them, wherever you're listening, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time.